everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Joe Love. So, Collision, I'm going to say, was a good show. Excuse me. Collision was good. I enjoyed Archer versus Darby. Number of developments. The 8-man tag was pretty good in the end. Some things to talk about. But overall, Collision was good. The thing is, so this is not going to be a very thorough review of Collision. I did watch the majority of it, but won't be a thorough edition because, well, I'm just going to say the first half was very good. I enjoyed. Into the second hour, though, when we got into the acclaimed situation, the acclaimed celebration, I think I saw many agree with me that, the direction of the second half show kind of felt a little deflated, or at least the crowd probably felt a little, I don't know, the vibe felt odd after that show, or after that segment. Because, it wasn't a lot. It was simple, but it felt like, okay, so after the reveal that the Acclaim were MJF's partners on Wednesday, in that big 8-man tag main event versus Bullet Club Gold, that felt kind of deflating. With all this buzz about who's going to be MJF's partners, for it to turn out to be the Acclaim, there's that. Then we get to the celebration when the Acclaim, the run hasn't really done great. It just not really have done anything. And now, they've only been champions for over 2 months, but it's kind of felt longer, if I had to say. Anyways, with Dalton Castle and the boys interrupting the Acclaim celebration and then throwing down the trophy to only escalate a fight for, AEW has a multitude of groups, or multiple groups, trios, etc., that could be vying for those titles. Make the reign memorable. And they have not been building many trios besides, Bullet Club Gold being in, feels like enhancement matches. That's just my take on the thing. But, yeah, there was some good things enjoyed about the show. Swerve. And then on Fox, I did enjoy that. I will say that card for Wednesday looks fun for Dynamite. So, we we got Keith Lee versus Samoa Joe for the Ring of Honor television title, as Keith Lee confronted Samoa Joe in an interview later in the show. So, which, Keith Lee, if there's a guy who could really use a rub from Samoa Joe, that would be the guy. Keith Lee, sad to say, he's been kind of miscast, kind of misutilized, and he's too good. Same with Athena, who's been, just cast away on Ring of Honor. But, in Samoa Joe's run, it seems, for another AEW World title shot, this match, just a sight, it looks to be a fun match. But yeah, we saw Mark Briscoe again, which was funny. The Trios match, speaking of Keith Lee. So, as Keith Lee, Dustin Rhodes, and Mark Briscoe took out the Workhorseman and Kip Sabian. Ain't good to see Keith Lee, twice on the show. That is a plus. So, there you go. But, yeah, Keith Lee's been his cast, but the way it started, I will say it was good. And so, we know the main event kind of guys and the big things having on the show. They will have little promos in the camera, kind of what Saturday Night's main event used to do. So, Swerve, he was doing his promo, and this way to make things a little different. So, Swerve was cutting his promo, and right before, Air Fox attacked Swerve in the backstage, and they fly out to the arena. Ow, my lip feels on fire. Anyways, so they fly out to the arena, and the brawl for the match escalated, which was a very good match. In the end, Swerve won with Swerve Stomp, and then basically got a preview of the main event, which was, Big Game and Tag with LFI, FCR, Big Bill and Ricky Starks, and etc. But yeah. So we got the Kingdom also. Good to see, because we know they're talented. It's good to see them wrestle. It's good to see Roddy be hilarious. Seeing him throw a high knee at the end, and then Nigel talking about fighting through the pain, saying it took all he had left out of him, for him to go back in the wheelchair, yeah, I will say that was funny. The other thing that I guess was a big talking point on the show was good to see, but Lance Archer. So, Lance Archer, we know, hence to get that thing, another guy that's been miscast really on AEW. Number of years. So after losing his match with Darby Allin, which unfortunately we knew he was going to lose, after it was revealed by Jake the Snake Roberts, which by the way, good to see him back as well on AEW. Roberts announced that that wasn't all the artillery that he brung, and recruited some new cats for the army. Turned out to be the Righteous. So we saw a big attack by Lance Archer after, and it appears Lance Archer and the Righteous, it seems, for Jake Roberts' army. For me, because I've noticed it's got some mixed feelings on social media already. But in my opinion, I think it works. Lance Archer and the Righteous. You know, I mean, it's weird, but it fits. Now, Jake Roberts, people are obviously, complaining about, the Righteous. The Righteous, I like their gimmick. Yes, it's kind of a play on how the Wyatt family from a number of years ago was, but, I think it fits, Lance Archer, that, dominant force, and, bottom line is, if we're getting more Lance Archer, this is what it leads to, then it's fine by me. The Righteous are good. They're among the slew of teams but, I feel like need time. I feel like this team needs time. Just more time from the crowd to get acclimated. Because, before you know it, they beat the Hardys, won in this multi-man tag match. Yeah, a shot at MJF. And was Adam Cole at WrestleStream, but of course, due to Adam Cole's injury, just MJF. But I do like Vincent and Dutch. That team with the overabundance power of Archer and Dutch. And Vincent can talk. But it's going to be a case of if Lance Archer is the brain, or excuse me, Jake Roberts is the brains, then it's going to be interesting how they maneuver around this philosophy. Now, as much as I've praised this episode thus far, needless to say, so we got Chris Statlander, Sky Blue, and Willow backstage. So, talk about criticism. So, once again, now, it's good to see Chris Statlander, but the problem is she's not in the ring. That's the problem. You know, she was the only one to beat Jade. She's the TBS champion. And she's kind of milking away on backstage, not really doing anything. Now, it's going to be a little interesting to see where this goes. So, she thanks Sky Blue for what she did. And if you watched Dynamite, Sky Blue looked like she was going to be siding with Julia Hart. But that was not the case, as she spewed mist in Julia Hart's face. And, turning against really, well, she never sided with her in the first place. But in the end, Sky Blue said she did for Will. Will's her friend. And, it seems like there's tension between Chris and Sky Blue. So, I do appreciate that it does seem like there's a number of elements in around Chris Statlander's title, but at the same time, people are nitpicking the women's division, and you have one of your top females not wrestling, or that's going to be nitpicked, unfortunately, or doing anything significant to some people's eyes. But it is good to see them, but we'll see what comes out of this. I don't think we've seen Chris wrestle since really Wrestle Dream. I don't know, just me. So, one of the matches taking place on Wednesday will be Swerve and Penta El Zero Mero, which will be fun. So, during the show, Alex Abrahantes backstage, and he was confronted by Swerve and Prince Nana. And talked about no fear, and talked about, respect, talked about family, and Swerve talked about the history of them both used to being behind masks, hence, Swerve was, I believe, Prince Puma in Lucha Underground. Nonetheless, That should be a good match. So the card will be Swerve vs. Keith Lee, Samoa Joe. Should be fun. Swerve vs. Penta. Jay White versus Mark Briscoe, because after the show, Mark Briscoe challenged Jay White to a match. So that's going to be a unique experience. I mean, giving Jay White more momentum towards Full Gear, that's one way. The crowd looks to be, but yeah, the card looks to be good shape for Wednesday, or it's actually look. So Daniel Garcia called out MJF for match Wednesday. So there you go. So them are wrestling. Should be a good match. Mark Briscoe, Jay White, Swerve vs. Penta, Joey Hart vs. Red Velvet. We haven't seen Red Velvet wrestle in a long time. Excuse me. And Swerve, or no, Keith Lee vs. Samoa Joe. So, yeah, good card on paper. Kind of reminds you of how AEW used to be. Yeah, it looks like to be a good card. It's just the question will be, how will this tie into the build for Full Gear? We'll see, but I'm hopeful and sure that AEW has a plan behind this good card. So yeah, but if you're just looking from the bird's eye view, it looks to be a good card. So yeah. So after the main event as well. So House Black again targeted FTR. So just the fact that House Black, you know, back on TV after the weird absence since All In losing their titles to Acclaim. But, you know, great to see, great to see. And Gates of Agony, but so after an attack by House Black in the main event, after the main event, Blackpool Comic Club came to their aid. So House Black versus Blackpool Comic Club, that's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. You know, a number of good matches escalating from that. I mean, you got Buddy versus Claudio, Buddy versus Moxley when he's fully healthy. Buddy versus Bryan, same. You know, Malachi versus Bryan, that was teased. I'm sure we're gonna get that when Bryan gets healthy. Bryan versus Malachi versus Mox. I think we've seen Malachi versus Utah, but Malachi versus Claudio. And then, of course, same with Brody. But, yeah, it's going to be some fun stuff to look forward to. Good direction with House of Black. Going to be fun to see. Fun to see. And then FTR, I imagine, if I have to guess, Brody and But they're teasing sometimes down the line they're going for the AEW Tag Team titles. That's my guess. So we'll see. And then, yeah, Malachi versus Bryan. That's going to be a money match. Which, by the way, apparently Bryan challenged Okada for a rematch at Wrestle Kingdom. Talked about this being a way to help set up a rematch. Bryan has talked about his desire to go. This cranberry juice is a bit sweet, but nonetheless, Bryan versus Okada, Wrestle Kingdom, and then apparently a triple threat between Ospreay, Dave Finlay, Moxley. Wrestle Kingdom shaped out to be fun. I may do a review on Wrestle Kingdom. I may have to. Looks to be a fun card. And I don't think I've reviewed it. Besides Forbidden Door, I don't think I've reviewed. I tried. Well, that was in New Japan. But I tried to do a review for Zack Sabre Jr. and Will Ospreay that match, but fortunately didn't get to it in time. Although I did see the highlights of the match, that was very good. But yeah, Collision was good. Besides, a little bit of hiccups, but I'd say it was good. Some would say it was better than Dynamite. I would say so. Maybe by a bit. But yeah, Collision was alright. Dynamite's shaking up to be a fun card, so see how that goes. But I'll be back for Thursday. If you guys like this video, of course, leave a like. Helps out the video. Thumbs up. Helps out the video and the channel. But thank you guys. See you guys all Thursday. Subscribe as well. Notification, etc. Thank you guys. Peace. See you guys next time.